8:32 GMT. This is Focus on Africa on the BBC World Service. We turn our gaze in this segment first on Sierra Leone, where general elections are coming up in June, the 24th to be exact. President Julius Maada Bio is determined to win a second 5-year term, but the man he defeated in 2018, Dr. Samura Kamara, has expressed a determination to wrest the presidential crown from him. But Dr. Kamara has a possible hurdle with a court case in which he has been accused of corruption. He says this is a ploy to frustrate his presidential aspiration. Well, it so happens that the two men have been in London these past few days. Dr. Samura Kamara came to our studios and Esau Williams asked why he was in London.
Originally, I'm supposed to be here on a Marlborough House dialogue between myself and His Excellency the President of Sierra Leone. And then after that, pay a courtesy call on the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, and then see Sierra Leonean diasporans in the UK.
So why are you meeting the President here? Why couldn't you meet him in Freetown?
It's an initiative that was developed by the Commonwealth Secretariat, where leaders of the opposition sometimes are given an opportunity to just have a dialogue involving developments with the head of state.
So, you're running again for re-election, having been unsuccessful in 2018. What has changed now?
Nothing has changed, except that I'll run again, as you rightly stated.
So if nothing has changed, the results will be the same then?
No, nothing has changed. My desire for the presidency has not changed, and that's why I'm running again. And thankfully, my party has elected me their presidential candidate for the 2023 elections.
Let me ask you, a bit of a rude question, really, about opposition politicians more generally in Africa. Why is it that when you lose an election, you still stay on as opposition leader, having failed to deliver victory for your party?
Well, it's a judgment to be made by the party. If the party has,
you can say no.
If the party has confidence in you,
you can say
that
no.
You will deliver the goods, yes, you have a choice to say yes or no. But the party has to have confidence in you. That certainly, yes, you might have failed in one instance. It's possible, very likely, that you will succeed in the next. Almost invariably, Maada Bio tried twice before he won.
But people also say, Mr. Kamara, that as you are in opposition, so you become in government. That if you cling on to office in opposition, little wonder that when you get into power, you don't relinquish it easily.
I'll be a different kettle of fish. I, Samura Kamara. And that's why my campaign and my urge to be president of the Republic of Sierra Leone is to look back over 40 years of my public service in Sierra Leone, holding high positions in the government, 3 governments. I grew up in the central bank as an economist, up to deputy director of research. And then I went to the Commonwealth Secretariat here and worked for them. I was called to Freetown as a financial secretary, and then move out of the World Bank and the IMF program.
Sure, but you're also facing allegations of corruption, serious allegations of misappropriation of funds.
I think this politically motivated. I leave it to the judge, to the court.
So those allegations are not true?
No, I think they're politically motivated. I think my career speaks for itself. I've been served 40 years. I've never had any charge.
But there's a trial ongoing?
Corruption. Yes, it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
So what do you say to the people of Sierra Leone? Do you think that perhaps maybe you should step aside until you get your name cleared, for example?
No. The law says you are innocent until proven guilty. And I think the people of Sierra Leone have confidence in me. They know that I did not do anything wrong. And it's because of that confidence that they've decided to elect me as their choice.
Now, there is the contentious issue of political parades during campaign time. Do you think those parades should be allowed or banned?
They should be allowed because parades have a way of bringing in people together around the leader, supposedly. And of course, what you want to prevent is the unintended consequences of violence whenever there are parades. But I think that could be managed by political parties.
So finally, I have to ask you this as a politician, because we see this carbon copied right throughout Africa. You know, it's an old saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Politicians come into office with good intentions and invariably and unfortunately end up on the wrong side of the people. how will you differ from all the African politicians that we've seen with good rhetoric, good promises, yet failures with corruption, riddled with bad governance? How will you, Samura Kamara, be any different from that lot?
I have all of that at the back of my mind. And I'm coming into the presidency of Sierra Leone with a different perspective, a different narrative in terms of leadership. My leadership is a leadership that will take 2023 as a landmark, as a new beginning for a new Sierra Leone. Because I want to draw from our experiences in development and other aspects of nationhood since independence. And then from there, you look at what has happened over the last 5 years in particular. Now, you come in at a time when you've had stalled development progress in Sierra Leone. So it's about time to ask yourself, why is that so? What are the binding constraints? Why haven't we grown sustainably? And that has been our main problem. We have not grown sustainably. We are not developed in a manner in which you can gauge that the country is avoiding shocks, this sort of thing. And more particularly over the last 5 years, it's a new trajectory where you have a quasi, if I can describe it that way, a quasi-military type of regime, a civilian coach in a military leader, where you have more or less something like a police state, as I can put it.
And I hear those things, but I surprisingly haven't heard you talk about what measures you would implement, for example, to stamp out corruption. For example, let me ask you straight up.
Yes, we know.
Will you, for example, allow yourself and your ministers to have an asset declaration device put in place where you show everything, bank statements, how much you're worth, what houses you own, what cars you own, how much money you have in your bank account before you come into office, and so people can compare that to when you leave? Because that is one good way of helping stop and stamp out corruption.
Let me at the outset say that, yes, I will subject myself.
And your ministers.
To that, and my ministers, all administrators. But over the years, I've subjected myself to asset declaration whilst I was in public office. But my view about corruption goes beyond asset declaration. First and foremost, you have to have strong political will to be punished as a leader if you are found to be corrupt, or your ministers to be punished if they are found to be corrupt. You must have a strong political will to appoint people of good reputation to man the anti-corruption commission, for instance. You must also agree that anti-corruption commission must not be politicized to answer to your beck and call as a leader. I think if we do that, starting from the leader, I think you will be setting the right pathways.
And that was Dr. Samura Matthew Wilson Kamara, the main opposition presidential candidate in Sierra Leone. And we hope we'll secure an interview